No, those were not birds you just heard. Well, now, those are some exciting new pitches from our in-studio birding team. I'm just glad I'm not a bird being gathered up by a pitch like that. I might fly out when I find out a couple of fellows spoke bird like these boys do. We do have a good team here, and thanks for tuning in. This is Aviary Paragraph. We have a great show today on subject matters that can only be described as being relevant to birds. I am Zan Mars.
This is Martin Salinas.
And Tim Luckley.
This is a birder's paradise known as Aviary Paragraph. Today, this show is on Pishing, surprise, surprise, and let's get into it. Let's get straight into it with describing what pishing is and why it is meaningful to you. Martin, I'd like to start with you. What is pishing?
Well, Zan, pishing is really in many ways a lost art in birding. Pishing is...
Really?
Yeah, we may have to dive into that a little bit more. I may be going a little into personal opinion there, but pishing is the act of making noises with your mouth that seem to call birds, sometimes out of thin air, but can really draw those elusive birds, those shrub dwellers, those low walkers, just draw them right out to you by making these special sets of sounds.
Okay. And Tim, what is pishing to you?
To me, pishing is some little sounds you make. Maybe get those birds all ruffle their feathers a little bit. Maybe if they're curious enough, come see what the noise is all about.
Yeah. Well, those are some good explanations. I got to say, for the viewers out there, if you would like to reference one of these guys' version of what pishing is, I got to tell you, I would reference an authority on this one. We're going to ask our friends over at 10,000birds.com to help us with what I'd like to call a real definition of what pishing is. One of the most important and perhaps inscrutable words in birding parlance is pish, as in, it only took a little bit of pishing to get that LBJ out of the bush. Pishing, typically deployed in the hopes of a better chance to identify skulking or ambiguous birds, is human avian communication along the lines of psst, over here, which even in a crowd invariably causes your head to turn to see if you're the one being psst at. Pishing is an accepted practice among birders, although there is some debate regarding the ethics of the activity. So, I mean, not to quote Shakespeare here, but I gotta ask, to pish or not to pish, that is the question. Martin Salinas, we move to you on our birding panel to answer this formidable question.
Well, Zan, it certainly is a good question, and I'm not surprised that Shakespeare was
isn't it?
asking it in addition to many other birders, because this really
You know what? A
Pishing.
lot of people don't realize that there's a Shakespeare in America as a foot in the birding world. We actually got birds out there known as starlings. That's a Shakespearean bird, in that they were brought over for
To Central Park.
Central Park, New York. Have you heard this story?
You go ahead and Zan, the way that you're telling it right now, it's making it come alive. So
Okay.
keep
Well,
going.
there was a performance, a Shakespearean performance. I think it was Hamlet, some sort of other sort of snooty sort of thing that was going on over there in England or something. They brought him over to Central Park. These birds, they just let him loose. Nearly cleared the U.S. of the bluebirds.
Now, a fun tidbit. It wasn't just the starling that this group of Shakespearean lovers brought to Central Park, but they actually collected every single species of bird that was ever mentioned in a Shakespeare play, brought them to Central Park, and released them. Of
Wow.
those birds, most were not adequately equipped to survive and reproduce in the New World, thus died off.
Right.
One species, however, to which you speak,
Only
the
one.
European starling, has now become one of the most abundant and highly invasive species of the North American continent.
Well, we could talk Shakespeare all day, and I would like to, but I got to bring you back to what we were talking about, which was the question: to pish or not to pish. That is the question.
Well, Zan, as I said before, while certainly Shakespeare posed this very serious question, it kind of comes back around every time. I end up asking myself the same thing because it's all about that fine line. To me, Pishing is such a fine line. I've never been able to come down really, really heavy-handedly one way or the other,
The line
on
is
one
fine.
side of the fence or the other.
Okay. That's a great explanation. I understand what you're trying to say there. For more, I'm going to ask Tim Leckie the same question. Tim, to pish or not to pish? That is the question. Do you have an answer at this point in time? This juncture.
Personally, I choose not to pish. I like when I observe a bird, I'm interested in observing its natural behavior,
Okay.
not just seeing the bird or and checking it off a list, but actually spending some time to to observe how each bird's behavior is unique, depending on the species.
Pishing is an art. Is your background in the sciences? Is that making
My
it so you're unable to pish in any way, or
no, I could if I wanted to.
it's just the desire isn't there?
Yeah, just the desire isn't there.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, that was a great. That was called the Great Debate. Is it? Or no, this is called the Great Debate. Is it pishing or is it spishing? Okay, so essentially, pishing out there, for those of you who don't know, a lot of people are spelling this Pishing. This word is an onomatopoeic word, so I would say some people also spell it Spishing. So the difference is in the S. So here is my question to you guys: spishing or pishing?
Well, Zane, if I may, for all of our viewers, I'd just like to kind of break down a typical pish so that we can see what it might be for you.
Okay.
So, if I were going out pishing, which I gotta say I don't really do,
Okay.
let's hear it kind of in slow motion here.
Mm.
As opposed to
Yes.
So that first example of pishing, I would go that would
Definitely
be
some
more.
great examples of pishing. I gotta say, Martin, those were it's great to see a talent like that in the studio.
Certainly the first example that I've given you is quite more of a pishing, Pishing, whereas the second leaned a little bit more towards the SP version.
Right. The etymology of words, we all know, is so important to understanding fully any subject matter, which is why I see it as being almost impossible not to have an opinion on this subject. So, Martin, I must redress you here and say, is it pishing or is it spishing? Which is it?
For the sake of taking a stance, I'm going to go ahead and say it is Pishing with a
Okay.
P.
Wow, that's excellent. Tim, pishing or spishing?
Pishing.
Pishing. Okay, we got two pishing. I gotta be the great devil's advocate here. I actually prefer spishing. Spishing, I think, it's gives it just a better ring. I like it a lot more. It's a more effective birding strategy to me.
Now, Zan, truly, when you say that you're being the devil's advocate, is there not a part of you somewhere that recognizes in saying that you are defending something which you don't truly believe?
No, well, well,
Deep down inside, you know it. Pishing is better.
well, but I would say that as a speaker of spishing, I would say that I am definitely in the minority. And if you do look at a lot of different things going on throughout history, you don't want to be on the wrong side of history. Nobody does. Many times the minority in any historical event is actually soon to become the majority. And I think this is one of those events.
Well, you heard it here first on Aviary Paragraph from our host, Zan Mars. He predicts that spishing is going to overtake pishing in the United States.
I definitely agree with Martin Salinas. I did state the facts there. I will say that we are going to take a brief commercial break. Then we'll be back with the brief segment that I'd like to call Pishing Like a Pro Might Pish. It's a little bit about spishing that you would think would allow you to understand spishing a little more. And with that, we'll take a brief commercial break. And we're back. So, despite what these guys have said, pishing can be labeled as an effective birding strategy in the whole Arctic zone, which is a relatively small area, as we all know, and mainly works to attract tits and chickadees. So, someone like W.C. Fields would be proud of that one. That's just a little joke.
No,
So, that was my joke of the day. I'm doing that. That's a new very brief segment. It's called Zan's Joke of the Day. But now we do have an even briefer segment, Pishing Like a Pro Might Pish, where we have a pre-recorded conversation between Martin and who we have brought in the studio, Dylon Snolt, who is a huge active birder in the birding community, to discuss pishing. He is a real expert. Martin, how's your guys' conversation? Did you learn anything new on pishing?
I gotta tell you, Zan, Dylon Snolt, if only we could have him here every episode.
That's great.
He is a birder's goldmine. This guy is the Quetzal of birding knowledge.
Right.
He's the bird of paradise of birding lore. He
Definitely.
is just really someone who, certainly when I was talking with him, I felt like a skein of geese against a winter sky. I mean, just birding extraordinaire.
I see where you're coming from. Tim, you were there, as I understand, in the talking with Dylon. Did you get any sort of tips or anything on birding that you like to share?
Yeah, his just some of his fishing technique. You know, I'm really
Big on technique.
yeah big. Even though I don't fish, you know, I can admire.
You can respect.
I can
Right.
respect
The art form.
you
Okay.
know, the art.
Yeah. Right.
Even though I might not apply it in my birding,
Sure,
you know, I can see how it took a lot of skill.
Definitely.
Is he not a matador of fishing?
Yeah, we're going to listen to that recording now.
Hello?
Hello, is this
Dylon.
Is this Dylon?
Hey, yes, this is Dylon.
Dylon, can you go ahead and talk a little bit for me?
Yes, hello, hello.
Dylon, this is Martin Salinas calling you from Aviary Paragraph.
Oh, it's so great to speak with you.
And this is Tim Lequi in studio.
Hello, Tim, how are you?
Oh, I'm great.
Oh, I see. You'll have to excuse me. Right now, I'm actually burning. Right now?
Well, Dylon, we couldn't get this conversation started without first saying a birder's hello to you.
Oh, yes. I love the show.
Oh, you're a listener.
I'm a regular listener to the show, and I just love it very much. I love to hear you guys talk. Everyone's very funny. I don't like very little about it, so I do like it a lot.
Well, thank you. That's flattering coming from you, of all people.
Yes, I know.
Now, Dylon, you know that in the birding world, information spreads so quickly now that we're here in the 21st century in the information age. And one of those pieces of information which has recently spread to us is that you, Dylon, are a phenomenal pisher.
Yes, I am.
Now, we know that you've taught many workshops on pishing around the nation. And for our viewers out there, if there was one piece of advice you could give about pishing, what would that advice be?
I would say any bird that you find skulking near a sage, shoot it a little fish, and you might find yourself to be a happy birder on this day.
And Dylon, could you weigh in for us? Because our viewers want to know, in terms of the conversation about the ethical dilemma of pishing, where do you fall? Are there certain precautions that a birder wanting to pish should take out in the field?
Yes. I have explored the phenomenon of the tape lure, which I'm sure you know it's very similar to the fishing. The song is played and again a happy birder is found. Fishing is a way to find birds of a feather. You may find as many as 20 birds in a scientific bird count, as many as 20% more birds in your count.
Wow.
Using this technique. I would say birding is naturally a disturbing, and so fishing, you must keep yourself at a distance.
Now,
And the problem, Martin, is that no critical studies on fishing have been performed, so this leaves the world of the fish up for the debate. You see, when I fish, I sometimes do little kissing noises like this. Or sometimes I do like what you call a tongue kicking. Or also in our impressions. You can also perform this on any sort of attractive device. In fact, I can even give my cat a call and it will respond with this attention. Well, just for a bit, all I do is I go, this works with just the same as we talk, you know.
Dylon, this is truly fascinating. I can't help but just have my spirit lifted by the skill that you employ in all of your variety of fishing techniques. However, I'm a little hesitant as a beginning fisher to just go out into the field and try it, knowing that I certainly wouldn't be achieving your level of competency in fishing. So for that beginning fisher, should they practice at home before heading into the field, or should they just head straight out there and find out what works out in the field?
Oh, yes, they told me you'd have good questions. You just walk out there, or you can go stay at home and do it in your house as well. I just say actively bird.
Dylon, who exactly told you that we'd have such good questions? Who was that?
I just assumed.
Could it have been our producer, Anna Glover?
Oh, well, I did speak with her. She did arrange this meeting.
Yes, we're all very grateful for the work she does around here.
Oh, yes, she's very, we were talking about fishing with her. She was, yes, also very nice to me.
Now, Dylon, I could stay on the phone with you, really all day. But we do have a very packed schedule here on Aviary Paragraph this episode. So I would like to leave you, I'll leave you with this thought, and then I would like to let you leave our viewers with whatever thought you choose. And what I would like to leave you with, I'm sure you've heard it before from us, is get out there, Dylon, and go bird.
Well, thank you very much, Martin. And being currently birding, it makes me feel so good to talk to somebody who knows birds like you do. I would say to just your viewers, I'd say, you just decide your own fate.
Well, you heard it here on Aviary Paragraph. That was Dylon Snolt, and we are going to take a quick commercial break, and we will be right back with you. This is Martin Salinas.
Wow, guys, that was a really excellent interview. I really loved to hear what Dylon had to say. It's really great to see you guys talking with a real authority on spishing.
I believe Dylon was actually referring to it as pishing, Zan.
Well, that is an unusual thing to say, but we don't have time to get into that now. In fact, we are going to have to take a brief commercial break. back. Okay, guys. Well, we've got a couple of segments coming up for you now. We've got a bird trivia segment. We've got, of course, Tim's Bird Book Corner. We've been getting a lot of great emails about Tim's Bird Book Corner. That's Tim Luckwee. He talks about a book every week.
And don't forget, you can always reach out to us on Twitter.
Yeah, you can definitely reach us.
That's at Aviary Paragraph.
Twitter, some sort of... we have all the social media. And then we're going to end it up with Martin and Tim. They both have prepared exciting bird stories. So we will not be actually doing spot or sound this time around, actually. So
certainly with heavy hearts, we bring that to the viewers this week.
Yes.
I had no idea. That's heartbreaking to hear, actually.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. No.
May I ask why? Or?
I can't really say that on air, but that is true. So with our next segment, we have, of course, Tim's Bird Book Corner. Tim, this is your Pishing show, so I imagine you'd have a Spishing based book.
You thought right, Zan, and so I did some research, and I decided that if I'm going to review a book on Pishing, I might as well review the book on Pishing.
Yeah, why not?
So this one is The Art of Pishing. How to Attract Birds by Mimicking Their Calls, book and audio CD. This is by Peter Dune, the Birdman.
Oh, okay.
Is what they call him. And so this,
he's got to know a lot about birds.
He's actually quite a well-known birder.
He's a lifer, is what you're saying.
Yeah. He's had his bird-related articles they've appeared in numerous publications. Bird's World, Birding, Birdwatchers Digest,
wow.
Wild Bird, and the New York Times.
Now, Tim,
I see.
If you're with Peter, would you say that you were likely to dip out or unlikely to dip out?
I would not dip out if I was with Peter, because I would be picking his brain for bird knowledge.
Right. I mean, you wouldn't want to get out there and have
You don't dip out. You get dipped out.
You don't want a stringy ID when you're dipping out.
I see where you're going. Well, I highly doubt that would be an issue with this guy. This guy is a master pisher, a master. He's from New Jersey. He's the current director of Cape May Bird Observatory. This guy's an expert. Yeah, and let's look up Amazon here. Let's see what we got. All right, so getting back to the review, let's get on Amazon here and see what they have to say. This is 4 stars. This comes with an audio CD, and unfortunately, they don't have any samples on the Amazon website. But you can use your imagination as what they might sound like.
Have you ever gone wrong receiving an audio CD?
No. Especially from Amazon.
I was looking up this book recently, trying to go on the MySpace Music and looking up this book in their search, and actually nothing came up.
All right. So, very, very good reviews here on Amazon. Let me look up a couple here. There's 22 reviews.
No, Tim, we don't have time for all 22.
Oh, we won't do all 22.
You're gonna have to pick 18 or 19
so
of them.
That's true.
All right.
That's
so
true.
this one describes the book as a manual for attracting birds while field birding. This is from 2007, so this is a while ago.
Yeah.
Now, when was this book published?
2006.
Okay.
So it kind of makes sense there.
Wow, yeah, and that makes you wonder if this reviewer, if it took them a year to read this book, or whether they had bought the book a year after.
Now,
it had
Tim,
been
you
published.
read this. Was this a dense guide to pitching, or was this kind of a grab and go?
This is
This is
grab
something,
and go perfectly describes
something
this
you
book.
want in your pack.
Yeah,
If you're out there
exactly. It's
fishing.
you're probably not going to remember. There's a lot of
I know, I
noises and
Right.
onomatopoeias.
Sure.
It's hard to remember all that.
This kind of
all
reminds
that
me
stuff.
of the book From A to Z. If you don't remember from our first, we of course we reviewed that book on our first show. So back to this book, of course.
Back to this book. Yeah, it's on the go tutorial on how to fish. You're out there, you're in the brush. You think maybe you'd like to try out a few fishing techniques.
Sure.
This is gonna help you achieve that goal.
Yeah.
Now, is this sort of in a format where you're just sort of reading Peter's thoughts, or is it more of a workbook where he has specific kind of exercises for you to do?
It's a workbook. It's the type of book that you spend enough time with it out in the field while you're birding, you're gonna pick the stuff up. So if this is something you're interested in, this is the way to go.
Okay. Well, I gotta say that was a great, really great review of the this fishing book by this author you have. Now, what was your favorite part of the book?
Just some of these audio samples are just so amazing that that
Was
they're
that an
coming
ebook
from a.
function, or? So, with that, I think we're gonna start our next segment, if you don't mind here.
Go right ahead. That
Okay.
was Tim's Bird Book Corner.
Okay. With that, that was a fantastic segment. Now we're going to move on to our next segment, which is, of course, bird trivia. Now, this is a game where I'm going to say some bird trivia. You're each going to get a chance to answer, and then we're going to tally up your points, see who wins. We know that last time was
Yes.
actually Tim's first victory of any game on the show.
He may have started a streak, Zan.
Huh.
Well, let's not speak too
okay.
soon,
All
you
right.
guys.
Well, don't curl up and die just yet. So here it comes with our bird trivia. Our first question of the day is, what is the name of the new birding sport which combines geocaching and birding? Tim.
Geo bird catching.
That's a good guess. Martin?
I may have read an article on this just this morning. Bird caching.
That's also a good guess, but that isn't what we're looking for, guys. We're looking for AV caching. That's AVI caching. It's a game which is meant to help disperse civilian birding data to underrepresented areas in our communities here. It's got prizes available that are financed through eBird and the Cornell Lab of Ornithology, actually. It's a combination game. The Cornell Lab and, of course, eBird teamed up on this one. They have...
Those two
people out
organizations
there.
are like coffee and cream.
Yeah.
That sounds fascinating.
Yeah, so I know that somebody actually one of the first winners won a pair of binocs.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
Do you know what kind?
I think they're Zier. Yeah, I think
Zeiss?
They're Zeiss. Yeah, they're Zeiss binocs. So some high quality instruments that the Ornithological Society is giving out there. Very fascinating. So that is 0-0 on our trivia, and we're going to our second question here. What important member of the birding community did the birding community recently lose? Tim.
Peter Jackson.
No, I'm afraid that's incorrect.
Zan, that was Vern Lau.
Yeah, it was actually. Sadly, I will say that Vern Lau, really a giant of birding, recently did pass from esophageal cancer. He was a announcer for This Birding Life, contributing in that podcast, another of our sister podcasts on birds. He was a contributor who passed at the age of 60. It's a really unfortunate loss for the birding community.
That's tragic.
Our thoughts certainly go out.
Yeah, to his family and everyone up there in Cape Cod. So, with that, we have it to 0-1. Martin is now, you're getting the lead. How about that? All right, so this is another question. It's less news-based. Which birds are the slowest flyers in the world? Tim.
The chicken.
Well, I'm not seeing that here. I don't think that judges say no. Martin.
Zan, I'm gonna need to take a moment just to kind of think about this one.
Yeah, it's a
do I
different
have a time limit?
There is no time limit within reason.
All right. Certainly, I'm in that chicken realm. Kind of thinking about grouse type birds, but I know that they can really burst out into sudden bursts of flight. So
Sure.
kind of ruling out grouse and actually most of the upland game birds. I know that albatross have a lot of difficulty taking off and gaining flight, but once they're flying, I think they move along pretty quickly. Zan, I'm going to ask for a hint.
Well, I'll give you one actually. And this is one that maybe Tim would have found useful if he hadn't blurted out chicken. That hint is that this is for the slowest bird in flight. So this albatross, the chicken, ostrich, a lot of these birds that are just trying to take off, it's actually their cruising speed that we're looking for.
Zan, I don't think I'm going to be able to get this one down to species, but kind of just thinking about that hint you gave me, I'm thinking, what is a bird that would never really need to be in pursuit of its prey? And that's kind of bringing me to vultures. So I'm going to go ahead and make my guess. Our North American vulture, the turkey vulture, as the slowest.
Unfortunately, no. It's the American woodcock, who they fly actually at 8 kilometers. Actually, kind of sort of European style bird, I guess, an hour. So with that, we still have Martin in the lead with 1 point. This next question, kind of an easy one. What is the first domesticated bird? Tim, to you?
Well, I don't want to get this one wrong again.
Sure, yeah.
So I'm gonna go with house sparrow.
Oh, unfortunately, no. Yeah, really sad on it. Yeah.
That stings.
Yeah. Martin?
I'm going to go with the chicken.
Ooh, again.
Ostrich. Emu.
No.
Cassowary.
Nice try.
Turkey.
No, maybe this is a harder one than I thought. Our judges
Quail.
would have taken 2 answers.
The
It's still
duck.
not. That's close. It is the duck. It's the mallard or the pigeon. Those are the 2. Okay, so we still have that score as at 1. So now here we are with our last couple of questions here. True or false? These next 2 are going to be true or false. True or false? Birds have solid bones. Tim.
That's false.
Martin.
I'm going to go with false. Scratch that. True.
Okay. Well, you shouldn't have second-guessed yourself there, Martin, because unfortunately, birds do have, it was false, birds' bones are hollow. They are not, no solid bones.
Now,
Those are solid bones.
if I could explain a little bit more of why I actually chose that answer.
Well, the judge's that was the judge's choice.
Now, certainly, birds do have some hollow bones, and some of their bones are also solid. So when asking the question, are birds' bones solid, the correct answer would be true, because some of their bones are solid.
Well, I suppose we can give you half a point on that one for the explanation. So that's 2.5 points. Martin is still in the lead against Tim's 1 point. Here's the next true or false one. Hummingbirds fly backwards. True or false?
True.
Okay. That's interesting.
True.
Okay. Very interesting. That, I gotta say, is the first one you've both gotten right. It is true. Hummingbirds can fly backwards. So now it gives Tim 2 points. Martin 3.5 points. We got another question here. What bird helped the original Mormon settlement from the disastrous fate of grasshopper attacks? When the Mormon settlements originally developed in Utah, they encountered unmerciless grasshopper attacks on their crops and fields. And there was one bird that came to their rescue. It's kind of a historical bird. This is an interesting question.
Is this the dick sissel?
Dick Sissel's a good guess. Martin?
Field sparrow.
Field sparrow, another good guess. It was the California gull. The California gull came to the rescue.
Wow.
Interesting.
Eating all the...
Very interesting.
So, we do have one last question. And I gotta say, this one is a 3-pointer. So, we're still very much close here. Martin, you got 3.5. Tim, you got 2. Here's the last question. Does Spishing begin with an S, or with the letter S, or the letter P?
I'm going to have
Tim.
to go P on this one, Zan. Pishing with a P.
Okay, well, that's an unusual choice, I must say.
I don't think so.
Well, it is. And Martin.
Zan, I'm sticking with Tim. I'm going with P.
Well, all right. Unfortunately, you guys are incorrect. So, unfortunately, you were both incorrect on that one. Moving on. From that.
If we could back up just a moment.
Well, Martin, you won. I wouldn't even go there. I just say don't go there. Our judges are the end-all, be-all on this show.
Yeah, Zan, I just don't know about that right now. I really think that it's
I gotta
with
tell
a
you.
P. I really think that
When it comes with bird,
Peter Dune, I believe,
comes to
it was
bird
the art of
when it comes to
he's
bird
kind of
trivia,
the authority
I
on
am the
this.
law.
He uses
I am the
Pishing.
law on this show.
Pishing
And,
with a P is the
if
official.
you need,
I've
it's
just
with
checked
an
the
S,
birders.
It's very much with. This is going to be a case of disagreement that is going
Now,
to echo
I don't think
down
that
the
this
halls of
is,
history on the side of the
I'm
S.
over here actually referencing David Allen Sibley. So
Well, I wouldn't even go there with
I don't-
references.
Yeah,
because
these guys
I
are
don't
the
even know why
experts, Zan.
we
I mean,
have-
they're the experts.
I have a billion references of where the
Like
S
what?
comes before the. I can type it in right now. I got my computer here. I can type in getting references.
Well,
Spishing.
let's. How many hits do you get for that on
I get
Google?
like 6 billion hits over here. I don't
Try
use
Pishing
Google.
with
I
a P,
use
Martin.
Yahoo.
See how
I
many
use
hits
Yahoo.
you get.
See, here it is. Yahoo for Spishing.
So I'm
Reishi
here.
mushroom powder. Spanish songs.
I'm here on
Popular Spanish songs.
I'm here
What
on
is
Sibley's
Pishing?
Sibley Guides, and he is referencing this as Pishing, not Spishing. So that's David Allen
That's for
Sibley.
the layman.
That's
that is not
actually
for the
not
birder.
He's an ornithologist. His
He
father,
is an ornithologist,
his father,
but he's this specific
founded
thing is
DNA
for
hybridization.
layman birds.
The
This
whole way that
article,
we
I
reorganize
texted him.
birds is
I don't
by
even- we
his
don't even need
father.
to go
This is
there.
a
We
great
don't need to go there.
ornithologist.
I just say agree to disagree.
I don't think we can agree to
because,
disagree.
well, I
think
do because it's going to be very much the S.
It's certainly.
So with that, we're going to have to take
there's
a quick
some- there's
commercial
some bull
break.
S
We're
in
taking
here.
a quick break here.
Yeah,
we'll be
it-
back.
Pishing with a P.
That's with an S. Forget about it. All right. See ya. And we're back from that very heated argument, back here to more of an orderly, I would say, every paragraph to end off our show. Of course, we have a couple of exciting bird stories here. Martin and Tim would like to share with us live on air. I'm talking live right now. I'm not talking about pre-recorded, as our Dylon Snolt recording was. This is live on air. Unusual stories. Are these stories involving Pishing or Spishing, guys?
No.
No.
Okay, so with that, if you guys want to take it away, Martin, I know that I have a kind of well, actually, I'm going to start with a little bit of an unusual story of my own. I was out, so I don't know if any of you out there have been clued in. I recently met a guy at my local deli, and we go out birding several times a month. He's a really good guy, nice guy, and his name's Jason. And we were out there talking birds, and I was talking to him, and he was telling me that he actually has an amazing collection of study skins. He has a couple study skins that he keeps at his a house, which kind of brings us back to that sort of taxidermy thing, which I thought was unusual. So I just thought I would add that in there, kind of my 10 cents. He's got he's got some dead birds, or as I like to call them, Dermy to be in his closet of the story. But so with that, Martin, I'll hand the mic over to you.
Well, Zan, this story comes to our viewers as a word of caution, as you consider to pish or not to pish, as Shakespeare posed to us through our host Zan Mars earlier on the show. I'd also like you to consider this story, this cautionary birding tale. Well, Zan, I bring you my story this week as a cautionary tale to birders who may be considering heading out into the field to pish or use audio playback. This story is of a group of avid birders who strolled through a boardwalk going through a freshwater wetland. They, all going out to find as many birds as they could, stopped when they heard a small marsh wren. Now they could not quite see this marsh wren, for it was hidden, as marsh wrens tend to be hidden, in the sedges. Our young marsh wren, unbeknownst to the birders, was hiding from a dominant male who controlled this section of the wetland. He stayed in hiding because he knew, should he emerge, he would surely be threatened with his own death. Our birders, however, did not heed the caution of this marsh wren and began playing the call on an electronic playback device. The marsh wren, curious, attention perked, decided to investigate and came out from hiding. Oh, what a sad decision for this marsh wren, for when he came out, he looked and simply saw a group of humans staring on, looking through their binoculars. They quickly got their fill, their sight was seen, and they moved on, but did not see the full effect of what they had done. Because as they moved on, the dominant male marsh wren emerged also from sedges, claiming this is my territory, and the young marsh wren could not flee in time. The dominant one came, swooped down, and small feet but strong feet grasped onto the young marsh wren and began pushing down and down. The marsh wren was quickly half submerged underwater. He resisted but was overpowered by the older and more dominant male. Over time, the marsh wren took in water through his beak. He could no longer resist as strongly. His resistance became weaker and weaker until it petered out, just as his breath petered into death. That's my story, Zan. So, Tim, I hope you'd like to share as well.
That was very moving, yeah. Martin. Thank you for sharing that with us.
Yeah, kind of a display almost, a plumage, I'd say.
Yeah, the story had some beautiful plumage to it, yeah, I must say. Yeah. So with my story, I'm gonna get a little bit more casual with it. So yeah, yesterday I showed up to work and I had some equipment to fix, just some power tools, but I was by myself at one of our preserves where we keep our tools, so I decided to go on a little morning bird stroll.
Sure.
On the clock. Wink, wink.
Yeah.
So, walked down to the creek, Scatter Creek, started scanning, and, in the distance I could hear, quite a few red-winged blackbirds. There was a bald eagle perched, and what it was fascinating that I noticed was that on all the trees all along the creek were dozens of scrub jays and Steller's jays.
Wow.
More concentrated during the winter than, most amount I'd ever seen,
Yeah.
And, the trees along this creek were all Organ ash, Fraxinus latifolia. It's our native riparian ash.
Okay, certainly.
And they
you
were...
can tell those by their compound leaves. This ash.
Yes, exactly.
3, I believe, opposite sets, followed by a terminal leaf.
Yes, that's correct.
Yes.
During the winter, them and the Gary Oaks, the Quercus garyana, they both you can tell them because they're a deciduous tree. They are covered with lichen, with some brightly white colored lichen.
Really?
So they really stand out. But I just have been thinking about this sighting ever since. Why so many jays along this one creek. They were the predominant species I saw that morning. I wonder what food source or whatnot they were eating there. So that's kind of a
definitely
open for interpretation story.
Yeah, definitely something to consider with that, I'd say. But
and if you have any ideas or know anything about winter feeding behavior of scrub jays or Stellar jays, feel free to email us. We'd love to hear from you guys.
When we actually received, while you were telling your story, Tim, we received an email from a viewer just saying season 2 hilarious.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
Okay. That's good. That's really good.
That's good to... Yeah, we really want to hear feedback.
Yeah, feedback is always welcome here at Aviary Paragraph.
Yeah, how can they, Zan, how can these listeners get a hold of us?
Well, they can tweet us. They can Gmail us. We have a Gmail account.
What's our Twitter handle?
At Aviary Paragraph, or maybe it's...
you got it, yeah, at Aviary Paragraph.
At Aviary Paragraph. And then there's...
We've got our Angel Fire.
Yeah, we have our Angel Fire
Leave
website.
a comment there.
Yeah, that's definitely a great place to go. We have a lot of our photo shoot pictures are going to be available on that Angel Fire webpage.
Download them, make them your background.
Yeah.
If they want to ask us a question, or if maybe they don't have Twitter, what do they have? Is there an email address?
Yeah, Gmail us at aviaryparagraph@gmail.com.
Okay. Well, yeah, you heard it here.
Yeah.
Send us.
Just give us a high-tech bird call. I'd like to call. That's what I'm calling emails now.
And if we get some good emails, maybe we'll read them on air.
Sure. Yeah.
That sounds like fun.
When pigs fly.
I think we all sound pretty agreeable.
when birds fly. We'll read them on air. Okay. Well, that's our show. Thanks so much for tuning in. Zan Mars, as always.
Martin Salinas, get out there and go bird.
This is Tim Lequi, and as always, it was a pleasure to be here.
Yeah. Well, thanks so much for listening to our Spishing episode. And with that, I'll say good night to you. Great.
I have something to tell you, and it's worthwhile listening to. Put your little head on my shoulder, so that I can whisper to you, whispering while you cuddle near me, whispering so no one can hear me. Each little whisper seems to cheer me. I know it's true, there's no one near but you. You're whispering why you never leave me, whispering why you never grieve me. Whisper and say that you believe me, whispering that I love you, whispering while you cuddle near me, whispering so no one can hear me. Each little whisper seems to cheer me. I know it's true, there's no one dear but you. You're whispering while you never leave me, whispering while you never grieve me, whispering